This episode of the Sports Box is brought to you by Mic'd Up Entertainment and DJ Mike Velardi. For all of your event planning needs, make sure you contact Mike at 609-864-5925 and tell him that you saw him on the Sports Box.
Well, hello again, and welcome to the show that's just as good as Viagra. This is the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am the Mike Coletta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner, the Brian the Ranger. Talk, Brian, how are you?
Viagra, huh?
You like that, huh? That's pretty good. Yeah, well, I'll get people jumping at it.
I mean, I don't have anything to say.
Hey, why buy it when you can just come here? I mean, it gets you excited, doesn't it?
Listen, if the Sports Box replaces your need for erectile dysfunction drugs, I agree to talk about that.
We're here for you. All right. Anyway, we are going to talk about the first set of the NFL Combine. Did I just say NFL? The NFL Combine, folks, has started.
I thought that season was over.
No.
Oh, that's right.
Not here. Not here. Never stops here. The NFL Combine started today. They started running backs. We're just going to go over a few running backs, give a little background on some of the guys, how they did today. You know, some players, the Combine is an interesting thing. Some guys, you know, we're geeks when we talk about the Combine. Oh, you're watching too much of this stuff. Yeah, but you know what? The Combine makes players move up in the draft and down in the draft. You want to talk about Mike Mamula back for the Eagles that took advantage of the Combine, wasn't a good player, but did move up to get higher drafted. You know, you talk about Todd Marinovich. You know, you can go back in the Combine. Well, there's Todd. Anyway,
whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. There's other guys that move up and down in the draft, and that you know, sometimes they're bust because of the Combine, sometimes they're good as their Combine. But anyway, we're going to talk about those guys. I think the two running backs, Brian, I think you can agree in the draft that are going to be high picks are obviously Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette. The LSU running back Fournette and Dalvin Cook from Florida State. Dalvin Cook's problem is a little bit of a shoulder issue he's had, but I think he's strong enough now and healthy enough in the offseason now that he's going to become a good player, and I think he's right around top 10, top 15 pick.
Yeah, to me, I think, you know, when fans are looking at the Combine, I mean, you might find names you haven't heard of before if you're not really a college football fan, but for sure, all eyes are going to be on Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. These are the two guys that are probably going to go in the first round, pretty much for sure. You know, I do think that Fournette's got the edge on Cook. I think Fournette's very likely a top 10 draft pick in the draft, and Cook's probably that second set of 10. But, you know, I guess to your opening point about the Combine, it's true. And, you know, sometimes, you know, we get enamored with these 40 times and how high they can jump and, you know, all this kind of stuff. These aren't game conditions.
No.
So I think you got to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt. I'm reminded of cornerback Byron Jones, who was for the Cowboys, who was like a Combine darling. You know, could do all kinds of crazy stuff. But I mean, realistically, I mean, you got to be able to play the position too.
I mean, this is to really make them out to be what kind of specimens they are.
Sure.
But sometimes in the NFL game, you know, Willie Gault ran a 4.40 at the time, 4.540, which was ridiculous as a wide receiver. He got in the game, he was a good receiver. So it sometimes doesn't equate. But you want to look at the times, the split times for both of them. Dalvin Cook 4.4940 and Fournette 4.5140, which are damn close. I mean, you're talking 200ths of a second, which is phenomenal. You know, other one we're going to talk about is Christian McCaffrey, Stanford running back. Here's a guy 4.4840. Kind of a mixed back. I see him catching a lot of passes out of the backfield, not being that power back, but you know what? He runs between the tackles, and I think he's going to go to a team that doesn't necessarily have to rely on a guy to get 300 carries or 400 carries all year long. He's going to be kind of a luxury to teams. In other words, he goes to Dallas, it'd be a great fit because they could throw out of the backfield to him, and they have their main back in Ezekiel. So, you know, I don't think he's going to go to a main team. I think he's going to go to, like I said, to a luxury for a team.
I think a lot of these guys, I mean, you know, again, we talk about, you know, can you up your stock in the Combine? I think in a lot of ways you can drop it quite a bit as well. And teams end up finding some bargains there. I think that you're right. I think the guys end up, you know, a really fast 40 time or something like that. That's going to open up some eyes, you know, possibly, you know, that fourth, fifth area. You know, you always see these running backs kind of fall. You know, for all you fantasy football players, you know, these guys you've never heard of that get drafted 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, they become pretty fantasy relevant pretty quickly. So the interesting part about this to me is that aspect of it. But again, you're going to see some really good value. I think it's a pretty deep running back draft from what I've been made aware of. So, you know, if you're not able, as a team, you're not able to get your hands on one of those, you know, two premier guys, I think there's going to be some depth here, as there always is. It's kind of interesting to see some of these guys who, you know, can't bench as many times as the other one. I think that probably speaks to how much they can block, frankly. So
yeah, there's a lot of guys. I mean, this is a deep running back draft. I mean, you got guys like Kareem Hunt from Toledo. Didn't have a good 40 time today, but you know that's okay. T.J. Logan from NC State at University of North Carolina tore it up today with a 4.3740. I mean that's phenomenal. And you got guys like Marlon Mack from South Florida that had a 125 broad jump today. And you talk about Aaron Jones from Texas El Paso at 127 a broad jump today. So there's a lot of guys in there, especially from the running back position, that are definitely, you know, second and third, even fourth round guys that could definitely get some production out of these guys. You know, I'll tell you what, you know, I'll give you a sleeper pick. You don't want to sleep on. I think he's going to be, I'm not going to say a high pick, but I think he's going to be a low second to high third round pick. It's going to be Brian Hill from Wyoming, 4.5, 4.40 today. You know, here's a guy, a little bit of a scat back out of the backfield. I think he's going to make some noise. Like I said, there's a bunch of guys that you can, if you're a geek like we are, talk about that can go to teams and make some noise.
Well, I think, you know, too, the way the game is going, I mean, you see so few bell cow backs anymore. Yeah. These teams are 2, 3, 4 deep at the position, so you really have a chance to really find a guy who can be helpful to a team.
So that power back is going away. They really want a mixed bag there, kind of catch out of the backfield, and kind of actually it's more of a scat back, block back now. But again, the game is changing because of the passing.
Sure.
You want a guy to stay in and block for you as you know, you pass a little bit more. So that's what a lot of these guys are going to do. So like I said, my picks to go a little bit different and to benefit from the combine. I think Brian Hill's going to benefit. I think Kareem Hunt's going to do well. And I definitely think T.J. Logan made some noise in the combine today with that 4.37. I think a lot of people are looking at it.
I think it's going to be interesting. You know, I mean, I am a Cowboys fan. I don't really hide that. And I was a huge fan of the Cowboys taking Elliott in the top 4. I mean, obviously it's working out just fine. But I'll be curious to see if any other running backs can kind of sneak their way in that first round, given the de-emphasis, as I mentioned, of having one stud at the position. I think that's kind of brought the value down for a lot of these players, and it's made them more available, you know, later on in drafts. I mean, some of the best running backs in football right now were not first-round picks.
Like we talked about, I think McCaffrey will be there for the Cowboys, but I don't think they take him.
Not necessarily. They got bigger issues.
Well, he won't be a first-round pick anyway. I think he's going to be probably second round or maybe third.
But we'll see. We'll break down a lot as we move along.
Yep. So keep an eye out. We've got some good combine stuff coming. We're going to break down the receivers next time we talk. We can always get us on social media if you ever need to.
Absolutely. You know, if you just look up at Sportsbox Show pretty much anywhere, you're going to find us, whether it's Twitter or Facebook. And make sure, of course, that you're subscribed, that you're following us on Twitter for 1, subscribed on Facebook for 2, and, of course, the YouTube channel for 3, because we are everywhere. Right. We got a lot of great content coming out for you guys, so make sure you're following us wherever you see us.
Yep. And don't ever forget, at the Sportsbox, the only opinion that matters.
Oh, jeez.
It's right here. Thanks for watching, folks.
See ya. Is that your Viagra right there? That was your...
Don't forget to subscribe.